There are Title VI forms on the back table, if anyone cares to fill one of those out, and they can turn those in at the auditor's office. I'd like to ask Chad to lead us in the pledge, followed by prayer from Steve Principal.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray together, please. Father God, we just thank you for today. And I thank you for all that are here today that are concerned about our place that we live. God, I thank you for the county that we have that's been a great place to live, that you will continue to allow it to be a safe place and a great place to live. So Lord, I just pray that you would be here tonight, be with the decisions that are made, with the discussions that's going to be had. May it all glorify you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thanks, Steve. I received the minutes. Any questions, corrections, revisions?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't have one.
I moved to approve.
Second. Consider claims.
I didn't have anything.
Nothing for me on this one.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Concur payroll, January 19th.
I moved to approve payroll.
Second.
Mayor Marsh.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Greensburg Redevelopment Commission. They have expressed interest to me, or through me to you, and I know that we've been talking about it on our one-on-ones over the last year or so about the former Decatur County jail lot on Railroad Street. Our Redevelopment Commission is interested in tackling that project as a redevelopment opportunity in the core of our community. Their intention is to solicit and find a developer for market rate multifamily housing for that site. That process would start through them through a request for proposals. As all of you and most of us are aware, we continue to see a need for housing, and this is a great opportunity for some density that doesn't require any extracurricular development. It's already there, infrastructure is in place. It is suitable for somewhere between 50 and 80 market rate units, I think is their goal, or would be the goal from a developer. A developer has not been selected. That would have to be through that RFP process. I've submitted to you for the RDC an appraisal by a local appraiser. That was valued at $119,000 for the whole site. And the RDC is prepared or willing to pay $120,000 for that. We can do that. Your legal counsel's been in touch with our legal counsel regarding intergovernment transfers. So we think that that's a fair offer, and it would allow us to bring that property back into use, which would be great for downtown and the core of our city for lots of reasons, including the additional revenue, income, individuals, housing opportunities, different options that we currently don't have. The one item that is sort of odd on the site is the communications tower. It is my proposal that we enter into a permanent easement for the county for that site and do not carve it out as a separate parcel for a couple of reasons. One, that prevents the need for setbacks from property lines, and it also would eliminate the county's responsibility for the alley, the sidewalks, the curbs, things like that, that would fall because it would be a separate parcel. By including that on the development site for a permanent easement, they would be responsible for that and make those improvements as they go. So the request from the Redevelopment Commission is for you to sell the property to the Redevelopment Commission for the $120,000.
Comments?
Go ahead.
Comments?
No, we definitely need more housing in the area. I like the idea of the easement, and it removes any water, sewer, storm drain issues that we've talked about. And we don't have to move the radio tower to another location. which saves the county a large sum of money to be able to do that. So I don't have any questions on that.
I know that a developer hasn't been selected. Have you been able to gauge any interest in developers that would potentially want to come in and do this kind of project? I just want to make sure that before we say, yes, let's sell it, that it is something that, you've done that back work on, that there is some type of interest for this.
Yeah, there have been, the conversations have to be a little bit vague in the sense that it's not owned by the redevelopment commission. There is a lot of discussion through Ready 2.0, what that looks like as well for multifamily. Something that the redevelopment commission is interested in, is high on their list, is to find a developer who would be interested in at least owning it and operating it for some amount of time after construction. That way there's some more buy-in from them into the project. While that may not end up being a final and hard, fast requirement, it is something that they're interested in doing. And they have identified a couple of those throughout Indiana that are currently doing projects very similar to this that have expressed interest in some.
I agree with Tony. I think that having housing, especially downtown, would be a great thing for this area. I know from talking to other people about this, after some of the meetings that we've had, they've expressed interest in having some other options for housing here. And I think it could do nothing but actually help with the rates that people have to pay for other housing. When you're introducing more units here in the community, I think that that could actually drive housing down for other apartments or other rentals. I think that could help.
I personally don't think your appraisal's in line. A couple of years ago, we spent $104,490 to get the site saleable. And looking at it, the comps were typical building, just housing building lots, I'm assuming, out on Terra Road, and this North Oakmont Avenue. So I just don't think that's enough money, but I'm just one of three. So.
Were those areas where the comps were done at, were they by a railroad track?
No, but they weren't a block from downtown Greensburg either.
I think long-term, the benefits from having those kinds of units and housing here downtown, I think could outweigh maybe the diminished value, if you will, of the appraisal. By being able to bring more people in downtown here, live here, spend more money here, I think that those are benefits that we could incur.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all of the residents of Decatur County are county residents. So while it benefits Greensburg, they're also county residents. So housing is the number one thing we need to work on across the board. So I'm not so worried about getting top dollar for it.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and sell the property to the 30C.
I'll second.
I'll vote against.
I will have our, Chad, I don't know where you and Chris are in the process. I know there's resolutions that have to be jointly agreed to, and I believe ours is ready to do that upon review.
I was gonna say, I think you finished it late this afternoon. I haven't seen it. The statute requires them to be substantially similar of nature, so I would likely start with this as guidance, and so they also maintain that substantially similar, but it probably will need to be edited just a little bit.
For the purposes of scheduling our meeting, will this body sign their agreement sometime between now and the next meeting, or will it be at their next meeting?
Normally, that's something we would do in an open meeting, so it's likely going to be in 2 weeks.
That's fine. I just need to know when to schedule our RDC. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Much appreciated. Thank you for accommodating my schedule. I'm off to another meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Gentlemen, ladies, can you speak up closer to your microphones? It's difficult to hear your voices in the recording.
You can, but I'm not sure they're on. You know if the microphone's on. But I can speak up for sure.
Thank you, Bill.
Next up, we have, it's not on the agenda, but a couple are here to speak on to us about a retirement.
Good evening, folks. Thanks again for letting us barge into your meeting. Just want to introduce myself real quick. My name is Amy Hopper, and I'm with Midwest Deferred Comp Specialist. This is my business partner, Owen Atkinson. And we've had a couple of conversations with the rest of your staff at the auditor's office about your current 457 plan that's offered through One America. And part of our job as your fiduciary, if you will, is to make sure that we're offering the best plan to your employees that we can find available. And unfortunately, with all of the changes in the industry, One America hasn't stood up to that test. We have a lot of compliance issues that are not being addressed. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Secure 2.0 Act. We've got those issues that haven't been addressed and plan document issues that haven't been addressed. So about 4 years ago, we were approached by One America. They told us that they were going to stop selling the voluntary 457 plans. And so we were kind of forced to find a new vendor. And then COVID hit and we just were kind of in neutral for a while. So a couple of years ago, we started going back out and scouring the market again. And we found what we think is the best provider. And that's Lincoln Life out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it was kind of interesting because here it was right in our backyard. And we kind of like keep the Indiana business in Indiana when we can. So what I'm going to give to you tonight, I did give an oath that I would get this done before 10 minutes. I set my timer for 7 minutes. So I want to make sure that we don't take up a whole lot of your time. But what I am going to give you is basically a copy of the proposal from Lincoln. And one of the things that you'll notice when you look through the proposal is the structure of the fees is completely different than that of what we currently have. And we're looking at probably anywhere between 50 and 75 basis points of a savings to all of the employees here in Decatur County that participate in the plan. So it's a tremendous difference as far as pricing. Commission-driven plans are really not part of what's in our industry anymore like it used to be. It's more of a fee-based type program, and that's what we have opted to do. So the bottom line is, if you all do well, we're going to do well. So there's kind of an incentive there for us to make sure that we pick the right investment portfolio for your employees. We pick the best investment portfolio from Lincoln, and then we make sure that you guys stay in compliance and are good to go with the IRS and the Department of Labor. So that's kind of our main job, is just to make sure that we keep you guys up to snuff with DOL and IRS, and I feel like we're doing that. When I talked to Christy earlier in the year, she had asked if I would mind to come and give a presentation to you guys, and I said absolutely. So I'm not going to take up time anymore. I've got 4 minutes left on a 7-minute schedule if anybody's got any questions, because I know you guys got a lot to go over.
So as far as any funds that were previously deposited, they would be able to transfer over.
That's correct.
So they aren't going to have to start from scratch.
No, we'll do what's called a mapping process. When we move the money from One America over to Lincoln, if you're a participant in the plan and you've got money in the S&P 500, that money will come over to the Lincoln's S&P 500. So it'll be a like transfer, if you will. And just as a last statement here, I think it's only right that I give Lincoln some credit. We've had some issues in moving these contracts away from One America. One of them right now is in process with the Department of Insurance. Our client had to file a complaint, and they wanted to withhold $28,000 in surrender charges for a contract that was 23 years old. So the city attorney and myself got involved together, and when Lincoln found out how bad it was, they stepped up to the plate and said, we'll pay it. So, and they said, any of the contracts that you have that has a surrender charge, we're serious about business here in Indiana, we'll take care of it. So if there are any surrender charges, it should be, but we don't know. Everyone's been different. We've had 3 contracts that we've moved where there haven't been, and several where there are. And so Lincoln's just stepping up to the plate and saying, we'll take care of it. So I got to give some kudos to them for that. This is not cheap. Any questions for me?
So you are our current provider, but just representing a different company.
Correct. So what we do at our firm is we do investment advice for your employees. We brought Owen on board. Owen's licensed to do full estate planning with investment advising, budgeting, things like that. And that comes at no extra cost to the employee. So we're your brokers, if you will.
I will say that Amy has, she has met employees. Employees will reach out to her. She has met them wherever they want to meet at. She's gone to their homes, restaurants. She's always willing to meet anywhere that's convenient for that.
And I really like the new coffee shop.
Yes, I
That
saw
might
that.
that might be a new spot.
A new spot.
That might be a new spot. Christy, I'm gonna give you the file that's got the important paperwork in it that we'll need signatures on. And if you have any questions about any of this, you just call me and let me know. Okay? Anything else that I can answer for anybody else?
We can just get that on the agenda for the next meeting then.
I don't
Do we
really
need to
think,
sign anything else, or do we need to?
no, you guys don't have to do anything. I really just wanted to come and really just see what you're all doing. This is a great county, one of my favorite places. So this is a lot like home for me because it's very agricultural and a lot of farmers here, and that's kind of how I was raised, so.
We just wanted you to be aware because once if any employees started saying anything, letting you know, we wanted you to be aware that this change was happening.
Yeah, I don't like you guys to be blindsided by questions that you don't know anything about. That's why I said, should all come down and kind of give an overview. So,
Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Thank you guys. Have a good one. And it was very cool. See the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer before your meeting. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Todd?
Good evening, gentlemen. Highway Department, when I got your report, I did get a notice from NDOT. I submitted all the files for bridge inspection. And I got a word from them to start the bridge contract for 25 through 28 fiscal year inspections. We've been out patching the last couple days last week, and starting this week, we're out grading some roads and adding stone where needed. We're doing some spot ditching. I also handed you guys a handout with the line of sight that Tim and I have been investigating with, basically it's a federal highway requirement. Tim and I have not had an opportunity to complete that 100%, but if anything in this handout will give you something to look at, to let you know how we're going to proceed. I gave a copy to Chad as well. So we'll hopefully get that final draft finished up this week. As far as road edges, there again, we have not completed 100% on anything of that, but I do have some recommendation that Tim's and I have talked about in regards going forward. For 2024, the big thing is finding it in the budget. We hired a contractor to do this year and last year's roadside. Okay, cost there, just throwing out a number, you're probably looking anywhere from 450,000 to $500,000. Next year and the year after, we're going to be seeking on a crossing grant, chip and seal. So whether or not be in the roadside appearance that is going to be elevated. So we've got a couple of years for 2027 when we're going to do HMA overlay and chip and seal combination. So we've got a couple of years to kick that out, but our recommendation is you hire a contractor to do last year and this year, but the big thing is finding the money. And as far as cost, I think you're looking at 450 to 500,000. And then going forward in 27, do we want to try and buy the equipment where the county can do it themselves? That would include the road widener and where we can actually do road widening as well. Or do we want to hire that going forward? That's kind of Tim and I's recommendation on the drop-offs. All right.
Have you done any physical measuring to get you an idea what it's gonna cost a mile to add stone shoulder? an
No,
average? I
I
know
think-
every road's gonna be different.
yes, yes. Tim threw out a number the other day, we were talking, he was in there on Friday. And he said that, I think they did it, it was a couple of years ago when I still working for the highway, not in this position, but they did 2 years. And I think it came in around $450,000. I don't know how many miles of roads, but no, I can't answer that for you for sure, Mark.
And that was gonna be, do you have any idea what the mileage is that we're actually looking at right now?
I would have to get that for you.
I did some research after our last meeting, and a dual rear wheel pickup truck is over 9 feet wide. Most of your single axle trailers, double axle trailers are over 9 feet wide. So if our roads are 20 and 2 trailers come amongst each other, you only got 2 foot of space. Throw on some big Dodge mirrors that stuck out to the side so you can see around them. You get a lot of mirror standards. So, I mean, I think it's important to make sure that we're correcting. And I know there's a cost that comes to it, but the slow down and move over, the 2 wrong vehicles come next to each other, you gotta go in the ditch, and if you can't get out,
Yeah.
it's definitely something we may have to figure out how to spend some money on.
Yeah, well, if anything, our goal is on the width of the road, 20 foot wide. And then you're basically gonna have 1.5 foot, 2 foot shoulder. But that's our spec. A lot of times you can't get that on a road where trees are right at the road edge, or it just, the road will not allow
Like the ditch on 550 north, there's areas where it's just a straight drop off in areas that I don't know honestly what you can do in some of those areas. Because you can't fill the ditch with gravel.
it. No.
But
So if anything, at least we've got a plan. We're just trying to look forward to what we can do going to the future. I did contact NDOT today, talked to Kathy McCallum, in regards to trying to get a contact for the railroad. Okay, getting back to this 350 West. So she didn't get back to me today, but she said she would give me a call back. So I'm trying to get some information where I can possibly team up with Chad and we can get this resolved, because that road is a mess. And then from you guys, do you guys have a date in mind for the bids for this year? Okay, and for the advertisement for stone, fuel, pipes, aluminum structures, asphalt first and applied, and FOB.
You've already bid asphalt furnace and applied last fall. When you bid your CCMG.
Well, yeah, that was the same day that, the same bids that we had community crossing board.
Okay,
That'll take us through 25.
You need,
You do new
through the end of 24.
Yeah.
But you will need your fuel and pipe
okay,
bids. You'd have to work it out with Janet so she can get the advertising done.
okay.
And I would encourage you to reach out and ask people to bid. One of the big disappointments I had was we were receiving bids from one company.
Yeah.
So really kind of reaching out and encouraging people to input into that, so we have a competitive bid process and do the best we can to get good pricing from that.
Do you gentlemen have anything for me?
I do not this meeting. It'd be tough.
Thank you very much for work on the line of sight.
Thank you.
While you're up, we have pay app number 16, the highway garage, which is $746,286.19. Redevelopment has $161,720 available left out of that $9 million that they had pledged. The county will pay the balance of roughly $600. Take under $600. Need approval for that.
What fund is the,
That'll come, the money from the sale of the highway department. It'll come out of the highway highway department fund.
What's the remaining balance on the total project?
Well, this was just a pay app. The retainage is still out yet. For the total retainage is. I'm not sure. It's not on this, the total retainage. The retainage from this amount was $500,000. No, that's the total retainage. It's less than non-retainage September. It's $503,773. And if there's any outstanding bills yet that's not been turned in, to my knowledge, there's not, but it hasn't been cleared yet through Strands that they're checking to make sure all the bills have been paid.
Okay.
Do we know where we stand with the things that were left unfinished by the time you guys moved in, as far as, I think it was the electrical?
There's some electrical that Foresters went out there last week and they put all the light poles that were supposed to go up. I've noticed there's still one out there that wasn't replaced, so I don't know if they didn't ship enough. They still haven't got the cord reels in on the ceiling. They did one control panel upstairs. And I think they're getting ready to do the other panel. They're still waiting on the other panel, the main panel for downstairs. As far as some of the subs, I had emailed them in regards to some problems we had. We had a leak with the ice machine. We had just some other dip issues, the gate controllers, things of that nature. So Made Right Fence came out, put the new controllers in, fixed one gate. The one on the south side, they had some problems with the limit switch, so they didn't get that fixed this week. Deaton came out and fixed the ice maker, the problem we had there. So there's been some subs that's been coming in. We're still waiting on, I think it's Hoosier Security to come in and put a couple of key fobs in yet for the front door, for the gate.
Generator,
I'm sorry.
the generator, I think that's the big one.
Generator is still outstanding. Update on the asphalt tank, looks like it's gonna be coming earlier. I'm not sure what else they've done. You got anything, Mark? I'm missing.
Well, the hot water, Hopsy,
Oh, yeah,
turn off, they got that repaired, didn't
yeah. And that was in the wiring.
they?
So, Forrester had given the guys the,
Wrong wiring diagram.
yeah. So I believe that's been repaired as well. We had a problem with the garage door, overhead door took care of that. One of the springs is that loose, so they had it order a spring, got it in the next day, so seems like everything that we've been having issues with, because I reached out to Strang and Maxwell and told them that, on this new facility, we need at least 24 to 48 hour turnaround. There's no need to wait a week for something to be done. So, as far as service so far, I think it's been decent.
As far as the pay app, I would move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I concur. Kenny.
Good evening, Commissioners. Since your last meeting that I actually missed, I had 33 building inspections, 16 new permits and plan reviews, 2 permit renewals. I had 3 red tags. The first 2 were for meter base related. Both had panel box feed wires connected to the lugs in the meter base on the power company's side. Corrections were made and green tags were required. The third red tag was for property having 5 or 6 6x6 treated posts erected in a row 10 to 12 feet from the house, 10 feet out of the ground. I contacted Lake Santee to see if they had a building permit from them, and they did not. And the property owner contacted me and informed me that the posts were for decorative night lighting on their deck beside the swimming pool. So no permits required. It sounds like a little bit of overkill for the 6x6 post to hold on, but whatever. I did a follow-up on the unsafe building in Lex. I met with the new property owner / title holder. He said that the previous owner had told him about the letter that I sent and said he will start demolition in a few weeks. He has already installed caution tape on the north and west sides of the property. He currently owns and lives to the east of this building to be demolished. I will stay in touch with him as the abatement progresses. And I plan to visit Lake McCoy and get rolling on cleanup letters this week to be sent out this month. That is what I.
Any updates on the Smith property?
No, I talked to him.
Kenny was off a few days for health reasons, and I told him, I guess I need a suggestion on how you guys want to proceed. Do we just call a wrecker service? They're gonna want sheriff's deputy with them. We've never done this before, so it's all new territory for me, so.
So what I'd requested from Kenny last time was just a scope of work, what we need to have accomplished to bring it into ordinance.
I think there's 3 vehicles when I went down there last week, there's 3 vehicles.
Yeah, I told him there's 3 or 4 vehicles there that are sitting there with tires in the beds, and there's no license plates on them, and those are the only ones. They get them out of there, the bigger camper and the smaller trailers, I think are fine.
Okay.
Instead,
What about the dump trucks and stuff that got moved to another person's property?
they're on his property. The actual guy that Jeff, the one that's living there on his parents' property, he owns the actual property where the dump trucks are sitting.
Okay.
So they're fine. I think they're fine.
Okay. So we're okay with letting, because they're not titled or insured or plated either, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so that was what I requested, was just what we needed to do to bring it into compliance. And then from there, we can discuss what needs to happen. So if it's just 3 tow trucks or 3 things, that's the first thing. We have to tell the tow company what we want them to do.
Right.
And then Chad, I think, that's all we have to do is send them down there. We've got some kind of paperwork from the judge.
Like I said, we have an order allowing entry and removal of everything that is non-compliance. And then we come back after with our costs and get a judgment to be entered and then assess the lien on the property.
So the number one most important thing is to have something in writing from the building commissioner stating what needs to be done to become compliant. Then we can send the tow truck driver and the sheriff out to do that. Now, does the court order state that the sheriff should attend? Because typically in civil matters, the sheriff does not go and involve themselves in these things. Or at least that used to be the policy of sheriff's department.
I would like to say I put it in the order, but I can't. I didn't bring it with me tonight, so I generally do, but I can't say.
And we will need something to accompany the order, exactly what the
Tow
tow truck
truck.
is supposed to
I
do.
talked to 2 companies and they're not going without law.
The other thing that I would like is an actual description of which vehicles are non-compliant. That way, when we're sending somebody out there to tow away vehicles, we're towing away the right ones.
Right, I mean, you can go along too and tell them which ones, but we should have something in writing that goes in the case file so that if it comes back and they try to sue that we took an active running vehicle that had $10,000 worth of value, but that's all covered. And this moves forward in all the other properties that we've got discussion going with. And at some point, we'll have to have an actual scope of work for the sheriff of what needs to be done to come in compliance. And then funding, what's the intentions on for funding this? So area plan has a $500 line item for blighted properties, which I think is the area for this, but I'm not even sure if it's enough to cover Yes. More or less, any of the other potential property conversations is upcoming.
And keep in mind, you'll get it back at some point through your tax.
5 years from now,
No,
when the tax sale goes on.
it's only 2 years.
Yes, county general.
Any ideas, Mr. Coors?
I do not.
Plans and implementations.
Let's do that.
You know, it's probably gonna be $1,500 or so, just on this one to get it removed.
And we're having 3 vehicles towed away?
So a description or photographs of what the vehicles are. I would prefer photographs, so that way you could actually attach them to what's going to be given to the towing company, keep a copy for themselves so that it can be maintained.
Just because they don't have a plate on them, I don't know what their value is. They might all be worth 10,000 a piece. I don't know. I can't say.
They're not unlicensed vehicles.
Right.
Right, which is what our ordinance states. But for sure, a definite scope of work. We hand it to somebody, they know what their job is to go do, whether that's the tow truck driver or the sheriff's department who potentially may have to go with that. They don't have something in writing telling them exactly the details of their job. They don't know what to do, and that'll have to come from you. So that's what we'll need next, and we can.
This is actually the first time we've ever had to do that.
Yeah. That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Anything else for Kenny?
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
Krista?
Hello, gentlemen. I hope you had an opportunity to look over the stormwater drainage, the ordinance and the technical manual. I asked Carrie Daly, who helped us put this together, in case you had any questions, because basically the technical manual is a little over my head. He can give you a little rundown of what we did and why, and this is Carrie.
Karen?
Good evening. I'm Kerry Daly with Christopher Burke Engineering. And yeah, we did help the county with an update and a revision to their existing stormwater ordinance. I think the existing one is from '07. So probably a little past time to be looking back at it. We would recommend probably about every 5 years to at least look and see if you need to do some kind of updates. We followed for the county the model ordinance and standards documents that were developed by LTAP, the Local Transportation Assistance Program out of Purdue. They have model ordinance and standards documents for anyone at the state to use. We helped them put those documents together. They are being used. I can assure you, many places along the state we're helping to get those in place. So we had those model documents, just kind of modify them specifically for what the county needed. I would say the city of Greensburg did the exact same thing. They approved their new ordinance and standards last year. And so the counties and the cities will be very similar. All the technical, how you size a storm sewer or a grate, or how you size a detention pond, those things are all going to be the same from the city to the county. So, sometimes people will want to say, well, maybe I can go across this line to get a little, better deal. As far as stormwater is concerned, it's all going to be the same. And these documents will be, like I said, similar to what other counties and cities and towns, especially in central Indiana, have been doing for the last several years. So the designers here should be very familiar with what these documents have in them and what the requirements are. There's a separate ordinance and then a separate technical standards. Right now you have kind of everything in one document. So if you wanted to update something like a pipe material, and the pipes are changing all the time, new plastics are developed. Instead of coming, to the commissioners every time and having to redo an ordinance, we have that kind of stuff and all the number crunching things in this technical standards manual. We would recommend that be under the control of the APC right now, or they may designate someone else later if a drainage board, say, gets established. That's who we would typically recommend the standards documents be under the control of, but for right now, we're saying the APC. That way, if we're going to change in 2 years, there's going to be some updates to rainfall data. If we need to change the rainfall data, the APC just can take care of that pretty easily and quickly on their own. Update a few pages, put it back on their website, and they're good to go. Like I say, it's a standard document. The requirements are pretty well standardized, similar to what many other places in the state are doing. So we've been through about a 1.5-year process, I think. Krista, Andy's had input on it too, and I think it's about ready to go. But if you have any questions at all,
Can you give just like a general synopsis of what it is and what it isn't, what it pertains to, what it doesn't? Is this like residential drainage and requirements, field tile drainage, road edge drainage, kind of just what it is and what it isn't for
so
the
this
public to understand what the ordinance is?
right, and this addresses development. So if someone's going in, adding hard surface area, doing some kind of grading, they're going to be brought, they have to be of a certain size, I think 10,000 square feet disturbance. So that will bring you into the process. It's not for, or anything you do out in a farm field, like with field tiles or anything like that. It's not part of this ordinance at all. So it's directed at development, changes to land that could increase runoff, be it changing in filling, cutting, grading, or paving, adding a structure, if it can increase runoff, that's what this ordinance is going to regulate.
What's 10,000 square feet converted to like acreage?
Quarter
Quarter of an acre.
Mhm.
So this would pertain to 3-acre building lots that were zoning ag and residential.
No, not unless they're going to change the entire area. If they're gonna pave 3 acres, then yeah. But
Or even hard
just,
surfaces with stone.
yeah, or stone, any surface, yeah, change the flow of water. But just to put a residential home, 4,000 square foot, no. It's just that.
A hard surface
Hard-
area has to be more
yeah.
than 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, they're
So-
changing that
Large amounts of roads, large amounts of pavement for, say,
building.
Home Depot or something.
Nitro, Hochsposh.
Is there something we need to act on this tonight, or?
Yeah, I just need you to sign off on this, approve it and sign off on it. The APC heard it twice and we went through that and now we're just bringing it
They're
to you
good.
for
Okay.
final. Yeah.
Were there any dissenters, the ABC, when it was on? I'd go ahead and make the motion to approve.
Oh, second.
No, I concur. Thanks, Gary.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Getting off that pile first.
Yes.
Laura's not here. Chad, you want to give us an update on what you've discovered on the Hickory mental health?
Yes, so it was being proposed to enter into a contract with Decatur Mental Health, who has been doing a lot of work with probation and community corrections in IOP world and handling a lot of that. I think there was a miscommunication about what they were and what we needed and how this could be funded. The proposed funding for the plan was going to come from a special levy on property tax, I believe is the way to coin it. And by statute, that has to be designated for a certified community mental health center as certified by the Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction, which Hickory does not hold that certification. So the route of funding under the current proposal was unavailable. It would be violating the statute. So if we're going to continue with them as IOP, I think it needs to go back for reconsideration on appropriate funding and how that will come about. But the plan, as it was originally thought of, cannot exist under state law.
Next up, Franklin Street. Allison?
Yes. Hi.
And I'm sure you're aware of it, but Franklin Street is going to be closed
Yes, we have,
all summer.
yes, we have a seat at the table in the planning of that, which has been very beneficial. So our current plan for the farmer's market for the 2024 season is to use the parking on the south side of the courthouse and grassy areas on the south side of the courthouse lawn.
But will that drive be open?
Yes, they won't be able to access it from the east end of the parking lot. We are going to use volunteers to ensure that our vendors can get in on the west side and that other vehicles aren't following them in.
My concern is having half of the courthouse parking closed just one Friday, or say every Friday, isn't it?
Every Friday, yes, from May 17th to October 18th.
And it's going to be really tough, even parking over in the parking lot, the county lot, tough getting across the street for employees to get in the courthouse. So I just wanted, we didn't have to make a decision tonight, but I want to bring it out and let everybody know that that bid's tomorrow and the contract is going to be awarded in 2 weeks and the construction will begin. And if the weather's fit, as far in 2 weeks.
And this is for the widening of Franklin Street.
No, it's not going to be any wider. It's going to be repaved, new curb sidewalks on both sides, storm drains, inlets from Main Street to Washington Street. And it'll be, it won't be open yet for the fall festival, but they're going to shut down construction and try to get everything out. October 1st, I think, is the construction deadline.
And when does it start?
It could start as early as 3 weeks, 4 weeks, if weather permits. So we just need to. But it's on a CCMG program and they have to have it under contract and start right away. So, any other thoughts of possibilities where you could go if you couldn't use the south side?
We can go back to the drawing board and come back.
You guys, thank you.
I mean, I want to see it happen. I want to see the farm market continue. And people are used to coming here. People enjoy it. I don't want to see that go away. I think it's a great thing that comes here downtown. If they think that they can accommodate it and we can still accommodate our employees, then I think that it's something that's still doable.
Close.
You wanna come in on Saturday?
Somebody proposing 410s. it sounds.
Use the old jail.
Have farmers market over there.
Dead.
Mayor just left, we have to ask them.
Sign, you know?
Would the parking lot, county parking lot be enough space for you?
Our
If there was-
market grew substantially last year. We actually had to come back mid-season and request additional space.
Because I know you were on this side some.
So I don't know if that would accommodate all of our vendors. I would like to keep it downtown because it does help the businesses downtown thrive as well
Sure.
on Fridays.
I
Think
That's all there's to the street and on that whole.
I wonder if they'll allow all the county employees to park over there.
Oh.
Opening up the county parking lot and bringing up stuff from the south side, at least on those Fridays. Because if getting across Franklin's gonna be difficult over there, and some place the county employees won't be able to park around the square.
What is the starting location?
The crosswalk at Main and the crosswalk at Washington.
Maybe go to Mark Horst's house.
Long walk.
Good parking though.
During the fall festival, in the courthouse square, with the squares closed for the fall festival on that Friday, a lot of us do park over the
Okay.
bank, and they haven't kicked us out yet. Yeah,
Five
but-
months is a long time.
5 months is a long time.
I mean,
so-
just with Franklin's being closed, everybody's going to have to do a better job of not parking around the courthouse for a customer. Parking's already at a minimum, so maybe we're talking long-term, everybody's gonna have to park over there. Okay.
I'm gonna do some studying and I'm planning to come back in 2 weeks, at a Monday AM meeting. We'll see what we can figure out. Thanks for coming tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
Courthouse fan coil quotes. Don't say it real fast. You wanna read them all?
I sure can. So what we were trying to accomplish here is to get 13 fan coil units. This is for the first floor of the courthouse. Everyone was sent the same scope of work. All the old units will be removed and disposed of. We will hire a contractor, a carpenter that will deal with the woodwork, because the wood trim that goes around the units, some of that will have to be removed, replaced. So that's separate. As far as quotes, reached out to 6. There were 2 local HVAC companies that don't do this type of work. So the chillers, that's not their thing. So they did not participate. End result, the bids were received from 3 different companies. And we have Air One, which is out of North Vernon. Their bid was for $92,610. We had Coors Heating and Cooling from Greensburg, and their bid was for $73,440. And then we had Piney Engineering, and their bid was for $103,639. Any questions?
I did not have any. kind of reviewed everything before we got here. So,
Yeah, I didn't have any questions as far as information coming in on that. I'd move to accept the bid from Coors Heating and Cooling.
I'll second.
And that money comes from ARPA, correct?
I don't know that we've discussed that. We've discussed the chairlift and we've discussed the elevator coming from ARPA. I think we're gonna put in front of council for the chairlift for sure at the next meeting. But there's not enough ARPA money to cover everything. Three quotes are over $325,000 combined, I think, so. ARPA set aside $200,000 originally. The chairlift and the elevator would exceed that, so we're trying to figure out how to divide all that out.
Gotta be done. And that will be summertime, correct? I mean,
Yes.
April, May. When
Trying to
we're
get it,
going from heating to
try to
cooling.
get it before
Yeah.
summer, so everybody's not sweating too bad with all easy open windows.
Okay, old reservoir questions. Anybody here?
You gotta get a copy when it dropped off. That was good.
Don't.
I,
Okay, sure.
kind of a summary.
Thank you. There's several. You gotta look through it real quick.
Permits and,
You
I had permits, you had on what permits and the access there and then the maintenance.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's closed due to, and I'll let Chad explain it, but liability. It's not a recreational area. It just happens to be property that the county owns. It's been closed for reasons that the reservoir was no longer of value. We do allow hunting and trapping by permit only if they come to the auditor's office, and when they get that permit, they sign a waiver that they wouldn't sue us if they got caught in their own trap. And that's the reason it's so. And if we opened up the gates and had access in there, George would have all kinds of kids partying back there every week in the middle of his crops. So that's why there's no access. That all took place before I became commissioner, but I did call and talk to the other two commissioners, and I spoke to Chad this morning about the liability, and so that's why we're in the situation we're in.
And there's no thought of actually making it so that county residents know it's available to use.
We don't want the county residents to use it. It's not a park.
You just said it's open by permit, but
If they want to hunt or trap, they can, and duck hunt. We've had people come to the courthouse and get a permit and sign a waiver to do that.
right, I'm one of those.
Okay?
I found out this fall, even asking two of the guys on the commissioners that did not know it was available to do that. That's part of the reason I'm questioning this. Why is it sort of open, but nobody knows it's available to use?
We don't encourage the use of it. We closed it for a reason.
Then why are they saying closed completely then?
Why isn't it?
Yeah, that's my thing. You say
I don't
it's
know.
closed, but it's
That
partly
permit
open.
thing was before I was commissioner, but we can certainly do that.
And that's my question, make it one or the other. I spent decades out there where it was state property and everybody was told it was closed. We were understanding it was closed and certain people was available to get there that knew that this was available. But most of the people who's ever been out there using it did not know that it was even available to get the permit to go out there. That's the biggest question of it. If it's open and usable, why isn't it open and usable? If it's closed, why isn't it closed?
I don't have an issue with the duck hunting and trapping out there. I mean, those are things that I like to do as well. Talking with some other folks, connecting property landowners, law enforcement, the biggest concern about opening and laning is the nuisance behavior that had taken place previously back in that area. You know, I mean, in my line of work now, I would see that happening again. But I don't have an issue with the hunting and the trapping the way it's going now. I don't know if opening the lane is the best course of action, so that we don't have an area that we get trash dumped in all the time, that you're gonna have dirty syringes laying around, that you just have that kind of behavior going on. But I have no issue with anybody that wants to go out there and hunt. I have no issue with that.
It's kind of research I got. I mean, as a sheriff's deputy for Decatur County, we stop there all the time to try to get people run off, collect up the trash. So the maintenance and upkeep, how do you monitor that? Where's the money come from to upgrade the lanes and to keep it not deep potholes, to do all the work and the maintenance? I don't know why it's county property or whether it always was. I thought that was state property and the county purchased it.
It looks like it was given to the county when the state closed it as a
So
resident.
they didn't have to take care of it.
So the state is secured.
Yeah.
So
My understanding, part of that was for the ownership and transfer, it had to be left open to the public use.
yeah,
That's from the DNR.
yeah, so I can't, maybe that's why there's permits required and we don't advertise that everybody can go out there because we meet the requirements, and I can't speak to that. I wasn't part of the decision, but I know that there's the bridge that's out there isn't in good condition. And the road isn't in great condition, and as you know, it was a hangout spot for not quality people that we had to control. And again, the amount of trash that was out there was dumbfounding. So to open it and make it someplace quality for people to go would cost a lot of money. And then to maintain that would be something new in itself. So there's liability to let people go out there, which is why we do the waivers. So the option is to either leave it open with the waivers or to close it completely.
I don't like the idea of closing it. I mean, I know of enough people that go out there and use it as it is, that make the walk to get back there. I know enough people that use it now for the right reasons. I'm sure you have some people that go out there for the wrong reasons. You're never gonna stop that.
Never, yeah.
But I don't like the idea of closing it. I mean,
But not being able to drive into the woods and hide back there is definitely reduced the amount of people that are willing to go back there and do stuff, which is the point of having the gate closed is close to 250 or whatever that is.
I mean, what's your proposal?
The thought was you want to leave the gate up, and people who get permits, do like a combo on it where they can get to it and get back to it and use it. Because right now, if you have two people show up back here, the whole road's blocked off and the farmer can't get through the gate. Whoever the farmer was letting trap back here this year that had the key wouldn't be able to get through the gate. That was the other thing. There was people driving with a key to get through back here to use the property.
And the problem, when you put a combination lock on it, everybody knows what it is.
Who has keys to that gate? Anybody know?
George, yeah, George Rigger, we farm along that road, and I do have a key for it. The RMC has a key for it, and it's so either one of us can reach. I have let a trapper who had permission, I think, from the commissioners use that key so he could get his, I think he took actually a boat back there to service his beaver traps. There is no turnaround back there. So anybody that drives back there either has to back all the way out or into the field, which is not, before the road was closed, they were using the field for a turnaround, camping, dumping, you know, it was kind of a mess back there. A drug draw, pretty consistent back in there. So that's been, you know, my history with it. And, you know, it's, if you open it up again, I can't see if it would be any different, but it is a place there are beavers, there's otters back there, and a place to duck hunt too, so.
If we don't want to discourage recreational behavior, is it something that we would consider moving the gate forward so that you could have an additional couple of spots to park there?
I think that road's 150 or 200 feet long. That's a big deal.
How far off the road, George, is that gate,
Off of the,
off the new road?
it's back 400 foot, or I think
So there's-
300.
So if everybody just stays on one side of the road, it doesn't block the gate. I know the condition of that road was poor. I know that we had a pretty bad motorcycle accident on that road prior to the.
That's what started the whole process of closing it, just a motorcycle accident.
So we moved the gate, we would have to probably completely tear that road out and rebuild the entire thing to move it back there.
The question is, you're gonna keep the permits, is there a way to put it online where it's easier for people to actually access and get?
Yeah, I think that's something that we can probably put up.
Just have to be physically signed, still brought to either the auditor's office or HR. And they need to have physical signatures, pen and ink, not electronic transfer for liability. So yeah, you can get them easy, but you still have to bring it to the courthouse. That way we can file and keep them, and they've actually got pen and ink to them. There has been some.
You have to have a permit to use any other county property.
There has been some conversation of potentially getting some wet bands money and some funding from that. That's something that we're looking into, or I've started to look into recently, but it's not started enough to even have a conversation about, but.
It was a couple of years ago, we worked with Purdue on that area to see, and there was kind of a plan that was come up because it was given to the county. And there was like a conservation easement where it couldn't be developed, everything had to stay as a natural place. I don't think it necessarily had to be immediately open to the public because there were some plans in place. The cost of it was at that time not something that was appetizing to the county, but we plotted out potential trails and such, and making it more of a nature reserve kind of thing. Now, how that equates, or relates to hunting and trapping out there. I have to do maybe one or the other, or have it all well coordinated. Yeah, there have been some plans and using DNR money that kind of.
Yeah, so the wetlands information was kind of just sent to me last week, and I haven't had much time to dig into it or see what it is, but there might be some funding for that through different programs, but I haven't been able to dig into it very well. I think for now, we'll just leave it the way it is.
I know it's not perfect, but you can still hunt, trap, do those things out there. And hopefully it stays in a condition where you can actually have decent areas to do those things where you don't have to dodge drug paraphernalia and
Are you guys okay with those of us using, actually doing some of the maintenance, because the invasive autumn all over and that kind of brush and stuff, you just can't hardly get through the entire, any of the place, it's so overgrown.
as far as like trimming it back?
Yeah.
I don't see why we can't maybe do like a work committee like we've done with the cemeteries, where they bring the plans forward and we discuss it and then approve it.
Yeah, I think, I don't see an issue with that. Like if you have a proposal as far as like what you're trimming, where you're trimming, bring it back, and I'd be more than willing to take a look at that, because it'd be a good use of that property.
Don't want to really be like, oh yeah, go do whatever you want, and then all of a sudden,
Basically, it's just
all
the
the
entire
trees,
levee is
like,
covered with.
all the trees are gone, but I
You can't
think
walk anywhere.
I think some kind of scope of work proposal, hey, we want to go do this, that we can look at and be like, yeah, that's great, go ahead and do
Like
that.
minimum size trees cut down. So that
It's
you don't
not
have
even
to-
trees, it's just that Asian honeysuckle or whatever the heck that crap is.
That you can't kill with anything.
At all.
Legally.
Correct.
There's no legal vehicle.
No, I think maintenance upkeep, if there's volunteers to do, that's great, just, like I said, kind of a scope of work of what you want to do, so we can review it, and then we'll move forward from there.
Moving on to the Eclipse.
Okay, you guys sent an email last week, I think, with, invoice for the petting zoo and pony rides. I just wanted to get, commissioner's approval to pay the deposit on that, and the total price. I also attached the insurance that went with that, for you guys to review, and make sure that that's sufficient insurance, so we can move forward with that part of that Eclipse event project. The total fee was $3,732.50. They'll be there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Basically gonna run from 9 a.m. till closing, or till dark. And they have a very, very large array of animals. So that will be.
Where are you proposing to pay for that from?
The funds that we set up through council and the other account that we had, the line item account we had set up for that.
I don't have an issue with that, Mark.
I question them charging in advance for their mileage when they haven't even got here yet.
Is there, if we have rain and all of that, is there some type of cancellation, reimbursement?
They'll be inside the building, so.
I hadn't been to the last, I think, one or two, so.
Yes, the plan is they'll be inside of whatever building we discussed. It will house them all the way through. A lot of the vendors, flea market vendors are gonna be inside the building, so we're trying to design it, rain or shine, over the 3-day event, we'll still be able to have some participation and those types of things out there.
So is this free to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the whole event will be free to the public. The only thing that you'll have to pay for, much like the fair, is parking. So you pay parking, come out, and there'll be vendors throughout, food vendors, petting zoo, pony rides, various different things like that. People will come out and do through that weekend during this. It was a very large scale event where people are going to come.
So are you collecting fees from the vendors or they're coming? Okay.
Yeah, vendors of all sorts will pay fees.
So there is a way to recoup some.
Yeah.
So have you moved, because I know the discussion was we were going to have vendor fees scheduled for outside and inside.
Correct.
Is that still the plan for having outside and inside?
Yeah,
vendors?
outside vendors, inside vendors, there's camping available, electric-based camping, non-electric RV camping, and then tent camping are all, and then of course parking for all different venues or avenues to collect monies through the weekend. To pay the cost, and then Power of the Past has worked exceptionally hard to get this put together. And then any profits that come after the expenses will be their payment for their services.
Is vendor setup still Friday, or was that moved to?
Still Friday.
Still Friday.
Yeah, Friday vendor setup open for public on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I'd go ahead and move to make that payment for the petting zoo.
I guess I'll second it.
I'll concur. Chad?
Yes, so a while back, Brian Robbins and myself received a letter from RWE concerning the solar project happening out on the north side of the county. It is an offer of reimbursement to Decatur County for professional fees that will be incurred in an analysis and evaluation of the proposed project. So they are asking to have the ability to use our financial advisors, Baker Tilly, and myself, the county attorney, for various aspects of this analysis, including a complete financial breakdown of the project. Obviously, they will be seeking tax abatement, and this will account for that. An economic development agreement, a road use agreement, a decommission agreement, all things that will require time and effort by normally county-based services. They have offered to cover up to $95,000 in fees that may be incurred in doing this analysis. So very importantly, what this is just covering the cost to get more information before the project moves forward. What it is not is an approval of the project as a whole, or even a tacit statement that you want this project here. We have not reached that stage yet. This is the ability to get more information to make those decisions. So given what they are asking is use of our services, county-based services, it needs your guys' approval to accept this proposal. Presumably then capping the amount they're willing to pay will also cap the amount of work that they will get. It appears they've budgeted more than enough, but that will cap both ends of it, what they'll pay and what the amount of time they can get services. So to allow this to move forward and for that to be covered, you guys would have to approve this offer of reimbursement.
My only concern with what you said there was if we go over the $95,000, do we have the authority to order stop work?
I mean, yes, because you're still talking about myself, who reports directly to you, and Baker Tilly, who is our financial advisor. If the money runs out, the work stops. That's the nature of an agreement for services. You get what you pay for, no more, no less. And I mean, short of Baker Tilly needing $90,000 to do this analysis, which I'm not saying they do or they don't, but my end would not be nearly even touching that. So I think they have sufficiently budgeted for that. I guess the only backstop could be to call Jason up at Baker Tilly and just ask for an estimate of services if you guys feel that is needed. I think you could approve the outset now if you're inclined to allow this, and then confirm with him that Baker Tilly is not, I mean, it's a project that I think they would like done within approximately 30 days, so I don't think they could physically work that much time in that short amount of a period, but we can get some confirmation as needed.
And who is in charge of the accounting or ensuring that we are not bumping up to that $95,000 with additional work to be completed?
I would say that Baker Tilly would need to regulate themselves, and we should make them aware of what the threshold is and not to exceed it. And that, you know, in this fall, we can make it clear and probably write a letter documenting that we are not intending on contributing any money towards this project. Would be an additional safeguard that this project is solely at the compensation of RWE, not Decatur County.
We write it as like Baker and Tilly gets 80,000, county attorney gets 15, do not to exceed these costs.
As I say, Brian, do you want to jump in on this? I
Yes,
assume you talk to him more than I do.
Yeah, first of all, I'll say that this is a clause that's something that we put into the economic development agreements and some other projects. We take it in, and we, regardless of the project that comes through, if it requires additional analysis, which in these sorts of projects, we want to make sure we have our own numbers and not just rely on the company that comes with the numbers. We do not want to be out any additional funds should the project not go through or they decide not to do the project. This ensures that the county will not be held responsible for those costs, at least up to $95,000. Mark, I'm trying to think, in our last, I know Baker Tilly didn't get anywhere close to that in our last analysis, and we met with them quite a few times.
About 2 years worth.
Yeah. So I'm pretty safe in saying they're gonna be, now Chad might chunk on some additional funds. I know he charges by the step from the office. So, do that, but yeah, I think this will be adequate. These types of projects have been analyzed numerous times. I know Baker Tilly is well versed in them, so it's not gonna be anything new things for them. And Baker Tilly's done a fine job. I think we've been pretty happy with them so far. Yeah, this just ensures that it's not. And again, I think it even says in there that they reserve the right to terminate the work by the outside professionals in the event that the project is withdrawn. So they put a stop if it's not passed or not accepted, then they can put a stop on anything after that time, which probably is not gonna.
I definitely don't want to see the county have to fork over its own money in this kind of a project at this point, so I guess at that point, I'm in support of accepting the economic reimbursement cost agreement.
I'll second.
I will concur. Thanks, Chad, Ron. Chris, it's time for you to
Sean?
I don't know about Sean, but speak.
I'll try my best. Everybody have a copy of the.
Well, I think we just have one copy.
Well, lucky for you, I'm a prepared young guy.
I expect lucky for you got a job.
So Mark asked if I come and chat about the contractual service agreement that is signed between the county and Purdue as far as the partnership that we agreed upon when it came to budget time last year. Whenever we came and proposed budget, in the budget there is a line item as far as that partnership, which is referred to as the contractual service agreement, in the amount of $123,785 from the county. That is something that in this contract, it basically outlines what that partnership looks like as far as the county, being that county executive will financially support extension, and then our piece as far as extension is concerned will provide the 4 areas of education between ag, natural resources, 4-H, health and human sciences, and community development. So there's some other detailed things throughout where if the extension educator were to vacate, that Purdue is responsible for replacing with guidance from the extension board and some other various items that are listed throughout. So the fund has already been approved as of last year. Now it's just a matter of signing the contract to make it so, and we will send it off to campus, and the county will also maintain a copy for their records as well.
Any questions, Chris?
I'm gonna have to review it a little bit because I've never seen this before.
And that is one reason why Mark asked for me to come this evening, because I didn't think about that. Jeremy may have seen it last year. I know Mark has seen it, but so I do apologize about that.
I don't have any questions.
Hopefully we do such a great job that nobody will have any questions.
And you had this number to the council for budget for?
Yep. And that amount is approved. So the contractual services is later than what it typically is because the file they sent was broken, and had to get them to resend it with me being out on leave. It's just now background.
You take Jacob Johnson's speed reading course?
I'm skipping sections. Mostly just the discrimination and non-discrimination disclosure.
One of the things we can't make Chris get a haircut.
Jealousy is not a good color on you, my friend.
I'll probably change to diapers.
I don't have any questions.
I move to go ahead and approve and enter into the contract.
I will second.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen.
Will you hang around for a second?
Do what?
Will you hang around?
You already agreed to sign it, so go back down.
You just need one copy? Well, I'm
And I
sure the
can-
girls will need.
Yep, we'll coordinate with the office to make sure to get everybody taken care of, so.
Just email it to us.
One last thing. Got a letter here I'd like to read from the Greensburg Community Read Aloud. Dear Commissioners, what an amazing year. Thank you for your partnership. And the 2023 Rise is getting more popular in the community along with Bible study. We also started the new edition of Garments of Grace along with the new paved parking area. We couldn't do these upgrades without your generous contributions. Below is evidence of how your generosity has impacted our community in 2023. Hot meals served, 28,972. Food donated and rescued, 193,412 pounds. 2,097 blessing boxes given to provide additional 18,873 meals. We are pleased to provide you with this summary of 2023 contributions to our organization. If you have any questions about this statement, please do not hesitate. Once again, thank you. With blessings, Michelle Frost, Administrative Assistant. So appreciate all they do.
Indeed.
Brian, you have anything to add?
Yes, actually, a few things. One, heading to Indonesia on Friday. Part of the team, some other members of Decatur County are going, as well as members from the Soybean Alliance, the Corn Marketing Coalition, and the something Port Authority. You see Maya from the Mysaris here is going to meet us there. We're also going to meet up with some past consul generals. It was an invite that has been extended for the last going on 6 years to us, and the fact that a team can be headed up there just seems opportune. So we look forward to that. In the meantime, I know you guys are going to be asked for a number of letters of support. We have the Next Level Connection broadband grant coming up here to do on Friday. I've been working with or been talking to 3 different companies that will be applying on behalf of Decatur County. I was going to speak to you guys as to if you wanted to support one, all, how you want to go about that. I talked to Oprah this morning, and whereas if we write a letter of recommendation for all of them, it does not hurt, but if we did write for one, that would make that stand out over the others. That's essentially what it said. So that's up to the commissioners for that. And then, of course, we'll have the BEAD monies down later in the year. Other than that, it's kind of steady as she goes, working with navigating some more energy projects and such. I'm sure they work for us. Appreciate the the approval of the letter that's gonna help us better analyze these things to see what the impact's gonna be on the county. We don't have that information quite yet, and that's something that we need to do if we're really gonna get a full assessment of what the impact's gonna be. So appreciate that. Other than that, I think it's ready 2.0, by the way. You're gonna need to probably be asked for a letter of recommendation for that or support for our submission. That's due the 16th as well. So it's just gonna be a lot of letters going to go.
Thanks, Brian. You guys have and that letter of support needs to go out pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Letter of support for which the
For the
broadband?
broadband?
Yes.
You guys,
We did a letter of support for RMC, didn't we?
that's, I was gonna ask, they asked for another one for this round. The council, I believe, signed one today. So, I got your, okay, we'll get that ready.
Certainly,
Yeah.
continue to support RMC.
Yes, I think it would be a great service to have it ran through REMC for broadband in Decatur County.
Comcast, I believe, sent me a letter yesterday or one day last week, want support. But they're just wanting to do Greensburg proper and the towns that, I think Comcast in St. Paul, another in Westport.
I don't know. I know it's not available
But
to
it
us.
wasn't, they weren't going countywide.
I know it's not available to us.
Part of my thought on supporting RMC is they are a co-op nonprofit that will service everyone. Even if they don't have RMC electric, they have a plan to service everyone in the county.
The girls get that ready then tomorrow and slip by some next couple, 3 days if you can. Noreen, you're here, anything? Anyone else? Thank you for coming. We are recessed. Your motion.
I'll make a motion.
Careful on. Roll up.
Mr. Ramey.
That one, no, not over.